Okay guys, so I am officially switching back to my Garmin, and here's why. Okay, so this is why I'm officially switching back to my Garmin for primary navigation. I've used Waze for the past couple years. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's a good platform. It has really good real-time traffic information, and
continue on Highway 3.
Stuff like that, and it also can, alert you if there's a pothole or a car stopped on the side of the road, construction, police, etc., etc. But this is why I'm switching back to my Garmin. I love my Garmin. I've had this particular one for a few years now, and it has never, ever steered me wrong. A few times it's like, you think, where the hell is it taking me kind of thing, but it's always gotten me to where I've wanted to go. And this one, believe it or not, even has traffic built into it. Instead of using the internet like Waze to get the traffic data and the map data, it has all the maps already in it. Also, for the traffic data, it uses something that many radio stations in the country have right now, and it's something called RDS, which is Radio Data Service. Now, what that is if you have a car that has it and you've ever tuned to a radio station, and it'll show you like the song name and artist name and station name and stuff like that, that's RDS. But that's not just what RDS does. RDS also will send traffic information to devices, and it's free. Some car navigation systems have it. A lot of the newer cars now use the Sirius XM traffic data, but some still use the RDS, and it uses that basically if there's a road closure or if there's traffic, it can route you around it. Now, with the Garmin, one of the main reasons I'm moving back to it is because
any of the 3 left lanes.
When I'm working, my boss or anybody usually calls me, and I use my phone, hands-free of course. And the problem with Waze is when you're on a phone call, or if you use your phone primarily in the car like I do for streaming music and stuff like that, Waze runs in the background. And what happens is if you're on a call and a turn's coming up, Waze doesn't say anything, doesn't mute anything, doesn't talk as you're trying to talk, stuff like that. So if you're in an unfamiliar area, that's kind of an annoyance, because then it's like, oh, okay, I was on the phone, and then, oh crap, I missed my turn, and stuff like that. Also, I've had this problem a few times. It doesn't matter what kind of phone you have, Android, or you're like me, iOS. I've had a couple of times where Waze, for whatever reason, will just shut off in the background, and then I'm just driving along, not even realizing that Waze isn't even working anymore. With my Garmin, that's never happened before. And what's nice about the Garmins, in my case, and this is why I keep buying Garmins instead of some of the other manufacturers, I think Magellan does it now too, and they're a good unit, is they offer free lifetime map updates for most of their units. And also, these GPSs are not expensive. Mine was $100, and it has the traffic, the lifetime map updates, and a few other like nifty little features. You can even get them if your car doesn't have a Bluetooth system in it for like doing hands-free. You can even get them with Bluetooth. I know Garmin, their higher-end models actually can connect to your phone and give you the real-time traffic information that's just like Waze and stuff like that. But I'm just happy with mine. It works. It's simple. I've had it for 3 years, never had a problem. So, But with the map updates, what Garmin does is every couple of months they release the updates to the users with the units that have the free updates. Now, all you have to do to update it is you plug it into your computer. There's a program that you have to download that Garmin gives you for free. It's called Garmin Express, and it recognizes the unit, and it doesn't only do the map updates. It updates the firmware or the system software or the operating system that everything runs on. It updates the map data, it updates the languages, and every now and then they add like features and stuff like that. It also, every time I've updated it, the traffic information that it can receive gets better and better. So that's really why. Another thing is because I travel a lot on my own, not just for work, but when I'm in an area where there's absolutely no cell phone service, guess what? Waze doesn't work because it uses your internet, or Google Maps doesn't work, or Apple Maps doesn't work. Whereas this thing, as long as it has a clear view of the sky and you know the address, you don't even need to know the address. It has a very good points of or POI database built into it. And again, every time you download the map updates, that gets updated too. So, why would you want to use Waze? And if you're like me who have unlimited data, that wasn't a big issue. But if you have limited data, Waze kind of uses a fair amount of data sometimes, especially if you're in an unfamiliar area and it's downloading all the map information and caching it at once. And again, when you have no cell service, Waze is pretty much useless because Waze cannot, without a connection to its server, cannot calculate routes for you very accurately. Whereas my Garmin calculates routes awesome. It takes a little bit longer than Waze, especially on like longer drives. Like I went down to Kentucky a couple weeks ago with it, and that was a very, very long drive. It took a good 4 or 5 minutes to calculate the route, but it did it. And the Garmin, it can start navigating before the route is finished being calculated, which is awesome. Waze, you have to wait for the thing to freaking finish and then it calculates it. Same thing if you're in an area with no cell service. Waze will cache the route information. So if you lose cell service temporarily, you're good as long as you don't miss a turn. If you miss a turn, then it's got to reconnect to the server, recalculate, re-download the directions and stuff like that, which can be a pain in the ass, especially if you're in an area that you don't know and, oh crap, I have no cell service and my GPS just crapped out because of that. Whereas the Garmin, as long as you have a clear view of the sky, you're good to go. The only problems that I've really had with my Garmin is it sometimes gets confused, especially in cities where you're surrounded by tall buildings, because it just blocks the GPS signal. GPS works by using satellites instead of the cellular network or anything like that. But it's still I think a way better way to navigate, especially if you travel to upstate New York or you go cross country. And the cell service in the Midwest is to say the least.
5 miles.
Another thing that I really like about the Garmin's is if the turn's coming up, it'll say, or like say there's a restaurant like a White Castle or something, it'll be like, oh, make the left at the White Castle, or right before the White Castle, or after the White Castle. Same thing with gas stations. And another thing it does that Waze doesn't, I think Apple Maps and Google Maps does, is it'll tell you when you put in a destination what side of the street that it's on, which is great because, again, sometimes you go to places you're not familiar with and you're looking for it and you don't know what side of the street it is. I know it's kind of a dumb excuse, but this will be like, oh, it's on your left or it's on your right. So yeah, those are just the reasons why I'm still going to use Waze, because Waze is nice if I'm like riding with somebody and they're like, hey, can you look up how to get here? Boom, 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 done. It's on the phone and stuff like that. But for me, myself, when I leave it in the car, I'm just going to use my Garmin. It just, for me, it works better. I like it better. It's never steered me wrong. It's super, super reliable. The only reason I replaced my old one, I think I had that one for like 5 or 6 years, but the only reason I replaced it was because it just started having issues. It would just shut off randomly. The battery on it was shot, and it was done. I think I probably traveled close to 200,000 miles on it, and yep, just time to replace it. Whereas this one, it's a few years old, still working good, and I'm going to keep it until it dies and then just, get another one. But, yeah, it's like Waze sometimes also. You ever tried to use your cell phone? You have like good service, but for whatever reason, the internet doesn't work on your phone. Yeah, Garmin isn't affected by that. So, yep. So long Waze, so long Google Maps, and so long Apple Maps. And I have officially switched back to Garmin, and I don't think I'm ever going to go back. And yep. See you guys.